Welcome to the CACFP training, Approving Confidential Income Statements, presented by the Oregon Department of Education Child Nutrition Programs. This is a how-to, step-by-step training to assist sponsors in approving confidential income statements, as well as how to assist parents and guardians in completing confidential income statements. Information from this training is also available through the CACFP Policy and Procedure Manual for Center-Based Sponsors, Chapter 3, titled Eligibility Determination. The manual is located online at the Oregon Department of Education's Child and Adult Care Food Program, or CACFP's public website. The link to the manual is located on the slides titled Resources, which is at the end of this presentation. The confidential income statement is a tool for sponsors to use when determining eligibility. Participants can fall into three different eligibility: free, reduced price, or above scale. From the determination of the eligibility category of each participant, the sponsor creates a unique reimbursement rate for the sponsor. Please note, if the sponsor has multiple sites, each site will have its own unique reimbursement rate based on the enrolled participant's determined eligibility. When distributing the CIS form, sponsors will always want to double-check that they are using the current year's CIS form. Please note, new forms are available on or around July 1st of each year. Also, the CIS is required to be distributed with the current letter to the household. Sponsors can find confidential income statements, letter to the household, and federal income eligibility guidelines in the following locations: the Oregon Department of Education's Child and Adult Care Food Program, or CACFP's public website, annual memo sent on or prior to July 1st to the listed food program coordinator in CNP Web, ODE CNP Policy and Procedure Manual for Center-Based Sponsors, Chapter 3, Eligibility Determinations. ODE CNP has the documents available in these languages: English, Spanish, Chinese, Russian, and Vietnamese on the ODE CACFP public website. For all other translations, please visit the USDA's Food and Nutrition Services website. For links to these resources, please see the slide titled Resources at the end of this presentation. First, we will review how to assist parents in completing a confidential income statement. When requesting parents to complete a confidential income statement, it is beneficial to discuss the areas that are required for the parent to complete. First, we will review where the instructions are located on the CIS form. The instructions highlight the different ways for the parent guardian to complete the CIS form. When completing the CIS, the person who is completing the application should complete Part 1, Household Information. In Part 2, the parent guardian should list only the child who is enrolled in child care. Please note that the name, date of birth, along with the age of the child, is required to complete this section. Part 3, Public Benefits. If the household currently receives SNAP, TANF, or FDPIR, the parent or guardian will indicate which benefit the household currently receives and list the case number. If the household does not receive public benefits, Part 4, Household Numbers and Gross Monthly Income, is required to be completed. The parent guardian who is completing the form will need to list all the household members, including children not attending school or enrolled in your center, and the income for each individual listed. If a household member does not receive an income, column 6 needs to be marked. To submit a completed application, Part 5 of the CIS is where the parent guardian that is completing the CIS must sign, date, and include the last 4 digits of their Social Security number. If the parent guardian does not have a Social Security number, they will need to check the box stating, "I do not have a Social Security number." Part 6, Racial and Ethnic Group, is optional and is not required for the completion of the form. Next, we will review a sample confidential income statement for completeness. If a parent returns the confidential income statement that is not complete, the form may be returned to the parent guardian for completion, or it is determined as above scale. First, we will review a returned CIS using categorical eligibility. For a household receiving SNAP, TANF, or FDPIR, the adult household member will need to complete sections 1, 2, 3, and 5. Here are some reminders about case numbers listed in Part 3 of the application. An acceptable SNAP case number are 8 numbers and 1 letter, or 9 numbers, or a letter with numbers and in the last section of a letter with numbers. For an acceptable TANF case number, is 2 letters and 4 numbers or 3 letters and 3 numbers. An indication the household will mark that they are participating in FDPIR. If an acceptable case number is listed, you do not look at the household income. The household is automatically free. Next, we will review a return CIS form based on the income eligibility. When a household does not receive public benefits, they will need to complete sections 1, 2, 4, and 5. Reminder, if there is no income listed, ensure that the parent guardian has marked column 6, no income. When a household submits a CIS with 0 income entered in Section 4 and does not provide a current SNAP or TANF case number or an indication that the household receives FDPIR benefits, sponsors may approve the CIS in the free category. Like all complete income applications, 0 income applications are valid for 12 months from the date the sponsor's eligibility official signs and dates the form. Parent guardians must enter 0 or mark the box in column 6, check if no income in Section 4 for all household members listed. The CIS is considered incomplete if the section is left blank without other categorical eligibility information entered in Section 3. There are 3 different ways a household can complete a CIS for foster children. They may be considered part of the household and included on a CIS submitted by the household. A separate CIS can be completed for foster children. Or, if there is more than one foster child in a home, they can all be included on the same form. Now we will review how to approve a confidential income statement. We will be looking at how to approve the 3 different eligibility types. Only complete CIS applications containing all required information can be approved as free or reduced price eligible. If the form is not complete when received, the sponsor can ask the parent or guardian to complete the missing information or determine the CIS as above scale. Sponsors will document the determination in the sponsor use only section of the CIS form. Sponsor officials may not complete any part of the household section of the CIS for a parent or guardian unless the parent or guardian cannot read or write, has a disability, and requires assistance, or requests sponsor assistance to complete the CIS for any reason identified by them. ODE C&P recommends if a sponsor assists the parent or guardian in completing the CIS, that they document why assistance was provided and what sections they assisted in. The sponsor use section of the CIS form is to be completed by the sponsor's determining official. Once the application has been reviewed for completeness, the determining official will then approve the application based on the identified eligibility type. In the sponsor use section of the CIS is where the determining official will make the eligibility determination. First, we will approve a completed confidential income statement with categorical eligibility. Here is an example of a complete confidential income statement form to be determined for categorical eligibility. The sponsor's determining official has reviewed the form for completeness and has determined that the form is complete. In the sponsor use section of the CIS, the sponsor will check the eligibility as free based on SNAP. Sign and date the application as approved. ODE C&P highly recommends the sponsor to have an employee as a second check for all approved CIS applications. Next, let's look at a CIS that has been completed based on income. Here is an example of a completed CIS form to be determined based on income. The sponsor's determining official has reviewed the form for completeness and has determined that the form is complete. The sponsor's determining official will now use the federal income eligibility guidelines and the income provided and the number in the household to determine the eligibility of the participant. Each July, the federal government sets the income guidelines for free, reduced price, and above scale eligibility. The guidelines are based on household income and household size. From Section 1 of the Complete Confidential Income Statement, it is determined that there are 3 household members with 2 receiving income and 1 who has no income. The total income equals $2,000. Please note, children listed in Part 2 should not be included in Section 4 unless they receive regular income per the instructions. The determining official will document the total household income and the number of household members in the sponsor use section. With the provided information on the CIS, we have determined that the household size is 3 and the total household income is $2,000. Therefore, the household qualifies as free. Check the total monthly income and compare on the income eligibility guidelines to determine if the applicant is counted as free, reduced, or above scale. If income is above the amount in the reduced price meals table, then the income application is approved as above scale. If the income is at or below the amount in the reduced price meals table and above the amount in the free price meals table, then the application is approved for reduced price. If the income amount is at or below the free price meals table, then the application is approved as free. In the sponsor use section, the determining official will now check the eligibility as free, based on household income. The determining official will sign and date the approved application. ODE CNP highly recommends sponsors to have an employee as a second check for all approved CIS applications. Finally, we will approve a completed CIS application completed for a foster child. The sponsor's determining official has determined that the application is complete. If the guardian has listed the foster child's personal discretionary income on Section 4, Column 5, Other Monthly Income, the determining official will list the monthly income. If the foster child has no personal use income, write 0. The sponsor will now check the eligibility as free, based on the child being in foster care. The determining official will sign and date the approved application. Here are some reminders about foster children. Foster children are categorically eligible for free meals if the sponsor obtains documentation from an appropriate state or local foster care agency or court indicating the status of the children as a foster child whose care and placement is the responsibility of the state, or that the foster child has been placed with a caretaker household by a court. Children formerly placed in a kinship care by a child welfare agency or a court are also eligible. Households with more than one foster child may include all foster children residing in the home on a single CIS. Foster children who are siblings and reside in the same foster home may be included on the same form. ODE CNP highly recommends sponsors to have an employee as a second check for all approved CIS applications. On this slide, we have listed some of the resources that have been referenced in the training. On this slide, we have included more resources regarding confidential income statements. Thank you for participating in Approving Confidential Income Statements training for Child and Adult Care Food Program. If you have any questions, please contact your assigned child nutrition specialist. We greatly appreciate the work you do to fuel Oregon's future.